And welcome, folks, to the Michigan Insider Signing Day Extravaganza, as we call it. 2 hours of breakdown of Michigan's 2023 recruiting class, one that just added Jyaire Hill to the fold. It was expected if you followed us over on the MichiganInsider.com. But of course, Steve, if you bragged about not having a subscription and then criticized us for being wrong, well, obviously you deserve to be kept in the dark, as a lot of folks who were ragging on Brice for his crystal ball found out the hard way that they were in the dark because they weren't members of the site. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I think I told you before I was waiting to call a couple of people out like all day. It's kind of a cathartic feeling, when like I said, I'd say like pretty much supremely confident what was going to happen. I think we had even more confidence when he left Michigan off of the top group, and credit, honestly, here's the other credit to our message board for the most part. Cause I think, when we cover it day in and day out or whatever, and we kind of give people the lay of the land all the time. And I think a lot of our users, they start to understand how recruiting works themselves. Right. And so there was not as much, there was a little bit, but not as much panic about Michigan, being left out of his top five or whatever yesterday as maybe you would have thought. If you're not following recruiting at all, maybe it would have been a little bit of a curveball. But our site, I think our board members did a really good job of really kind of understanding that they know how the recruitment's gone. They know that these guys can pull that head fake type deal every once in a while. So, yeah. So credit to our subscribers. And there were just a couple, not everybody, some people were just like, what? I don't understand. A couple clowns needed to get dunked on a little bit though. I thought, especially, Brice put it in. We've had ours in. Brice put his in, and didn't turn around, didn't look back on it. And, it paid off. So yeah, no, it always feels a little good to put people in their place, when they try to kind of, take a shot at the site and the work that we've been doing.
Yeah, man, it's hard work keeping up with all of these recruits. But we have the best team in the land, the best network in the land, and our first guest coming up, the first member of the class is going to join us, is a young man that Alan True has been advocating for. This is a guy. This is a guy who he's been pushing for to move up in the rankings, and he has. And frankly, because Allen is so high on him, I'm not convinced that his final ranking is in the books. I wouldn't be surprised if our next guest or if our first guest doesn't wind up in that 4-star range. I think that's how Michigan sees him because, Steve, when you look at Rod Pierce, he brings the kind of positional versatility that Michigan covers up front. I think he's nimble enough to play outside and to maybe be a Mike Morris type. I think he's physical enough to be kicked inside and play 3-tech. If they want him to do that, he has the frame to add some more weight if he wants to do it, or if he stays right around 290. I think he could be effective at that weight. I think this is a footprint guy that Michigan is convinced can come in and be a real piece to the puzzle for him moving forward.
Big time. I like a Chris Jenkins type potential as far as a run stopper. I think that's one thing. I think even when I was on with Brian and Seth earlier, Brian read a quote from his head coach saying that, the kind of kid who went to him and wanted to know how he could get better at watching film. And if Jim Harbaugh's listening right now, he's probably got a wide grin on it. Like you hear those things. Those are the types that, and any coach is going to love hearing that. But Harbaugh, that's the type of guy that Michigan really likes to build their roster with. And so, I think we'll be able to ask him is feels like he's a kid that's worked really hard in his game. That 89 bump that he got from 24, he was at an 85. I mean, to go from an 85 to an 89 is a massive bump. And like you said, Sam, I think if Allen was in total control, he would be even higher than what he is now. So I think there's still a possibility for that to happen. But yeah, either way, Michigan sees him as a top of the line type talent.
And Brice Marich joins us live from Semaj Morgan's announcement ceremony. We'll go to you in a second, Brice. But right now, we got to bring in the first member of Michigan's 2023 class to join us here on the broadcast. Rod Pierce joining us now. Rod, congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Glad that you could join us. And so let's go back. Let's go back to your recruiting journey, Rod, because obviously we know you were committed to Wisconsin. Take me through when you first started hearing from Michigan and what initially sort of piqued your interest about the Wolverines.
Well, I started hearing from Michigan about like the middle of my junior year. They had me came in on that game visit, came to the NIU visit, NIU game in 2021. I love the program. Coach Biff Poggi, he sat down with my mom and dad, and he talked to them for a long time, him and his wife. So my mom and dad fell in love with the program, and I sort of started talking to them there. Obviously, I picked up some more offers after my junior year, and I ended up committing at the end of my junior year to Wisconsin. But Michigan was kind of always the back of my head, like Michigan, Michigan's Michigan. I kind of want to keep that option open, but coaching changes happened in Wisconsin, so I was like, I don't think this is the right place, right fit. So I ended up reopening my recruitment. Michigan came along like as soon as I kind of privately reopened and told my coach, was like, all right, I'll start looking at other options. Michigan came and offered me, and then I decommitted publicly a few weeks after that, and everything kind of worked out from there.
Yeah, I know Brice and Steve have questions for you too. I guess my next one would be though that Michigan visit experience. I mean, how could you tell then? Did you kind of get the vibe that was going to be it at that point? Like, when did you get the feeling that it was going to be Michigan?
I mean, that first game visit, it was crazy to me because it wasn't a big game. It wasn't like a Big Ten game. It was against NIU. So I wasn't expecting like, anything crazy, but the game day environment, even for that game, was just insane. And I was like, I can see myself playing here. I can see myself wanting to be in this environment. So right then I knew, I was like, all right, I think it could be Michigan. But at that point I didn't have an offer from there. So I was like, all right, let me just kind of, simmer down, kind of like look through my actual options. And yeah, but I definitely could tell.
Steve?
Hey, Rod, congratulations. Biggest thing, I think Texas came in, right? I think Auburn came in October. Illinois was involved late.
Yeah.
What specifically kind of separated Michigan? I don't remember. Did you end up visiting Texas? I can't remember.
No, sir. I had a visit scheduled, but then after the Michigan visit, I was like, I canceled my visit after I visited Michigan, and I was like, all right, I owe it to Illinois to take a visit. They've been recruiting me since I was a sophomore, so I'll take a visit to Illinois. But Texas, I canceled my Texas visit after I went to Michigan.
Okay. Did you feel like it was sort of a slam dunk then at that point?
Leaving that visit, I was like, I want to be here. But
sure. What was the biggest thing though that separated Michigan in your opinion? Like what put them above everybody else at the end of the day?
Honestly, the combination of like competitiveness and academics, really, that's it. I'm really high on academics. So Texas, UTA is a great school. Illinois is a great school, and Michigan is the best public university in the country. So like they're all kind of in my head. Like education wise, I'll get a good degree. So what puts them over the edge was the competitiveness and like the coaching staff and how I fit in with the guys and stuff like that. So,
Brice Marich.
First off, congrats on the signing to Michigan. But obviously, I know you've been targeting other guys. Jamel Howard, guy you went on a visit with. Just talk about that relationship with him, and what's your pitch to him essentially to get to Michigan?
Me and Jamel have known each other since first started. We play for rivals. His school is 2 miles down the street. So Marist, Brother Rice, here that's a big rivalry. But we kind of bonded because we were both D linemen. We have mutual friends. So we've always been kind of close since then. My pitch to him is like, there's nothing better. There's nothing any other school does better than Michigan. No better academics, no better development, no better competitiveness, no better culture. There's nothing better.
Rod, I'm curious first of all, Mike Elston and the coaches at Michigan. I mean, What was that vibe like? What did he tell you about where you fit? Because that's one of the things when I look at you, I think you're such a versatile athlete that you could play anywhere on a defensive line. What are they telling you? What is Coach Elston telling you about the plan? What is he telling you the plan for you is?
Coach Elston's told me I could play anything from a 2-eye to a tight 5. You know, he said I'm one of the things that I was recruited for is because my versatility, my explosiveness. So he's saying, I heard you say something about Chris Jenkins before I got in here. That's exactly what he told me. He told me, look, watch Chris Jenkins, and he said that's probably fit in at. Yeah, he said I could just fit in like to that type of role. Listening.
Yeah, man, and that was Steve. Steve, that was you that said Chris Jenkins, right? And here's the irony, you know, Rod, you're Chris Jenkins' size coming in, right?
Yeah.
Chris Jenkins was you remember Steve? Chris Jenkins was like 230, 240 when they recruited him.
Yeah, the one thing Chris had though is his dad. He had a dad that's an all-pro defensive tackle. He had that weight, the blood, you know, in his blood to gain the weight. But yeah, Rod, you're already there. And I there was one thing I noticed on your profile. Sometimes we put like coach quotes and stuff, and your coach made a comment about you really working hard to improve your ability to stop the run. Right? Is that something you think the last year or so, or whatever, is that where you think you've come furthest in your game?
For sure. You know, everybody focuses on the flashy pass rush. Everyone wants to get sacks. Everyone wants to get pressures. But I really like kind of have to like take a step back and really like think about high school Illinois football. 80% run. You know, it's saying like most people are going to be running around trying to pound the rock, triple option. You know, a lot of people are trying to pound the rock in Illinois football. So I was like, I got to get good at defending the run. So that's what I focused on this whole offseason, reading blocks, you know, kind of stuff like that.
Yeah,
do the coaches sorry.
Go ahead.
No, do coaches have like wide smiles on their face when they hear stuff like that? Because you're right. I mean, most guys want to focus on the pass rush, the sacks, the pressures. But when coaches that are recruiting, or even the Michigan coaches hear that you're focused on stopping the run, I can't imagine how excited they are to hear something like that, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, to me, it's the most fun.
Sure.
I like stop and run. It's my fun. It's fun. You know, it's not the flashiest thing, but it gets you tackles if you know. I kind of like it.
Yeah, you're definitely a hit with the fans. No, you're a hit with the coaches. I'm curious. 2 things I wonder how they impacted you, Rod. Number one, how impacted were you by how they did on the field? I mean, Michigan obviously killed it during the season.
Oh, yeah.
Did that impact you? And then also, Michigan's presence in the state of Illinois over the last few years really seems to have grown. Obviously, a couple of years ago, you got JJ McCarthy kind of leading the way with that crew, and Tyler Morris and that crew coming in, and Tyler McLaurin and those guys, and AJ Henning. How big a deal was it, the Illinois presence on the roster? Did either of those things affect you and your perception of Michigan?
You know, it wasn't the hugest factor, but it definitely made it definitely a plus for me. You know, guys, you know, AJ Henning, JJ McCarthy, Illinois legends. You know, Tyler Morris, they're Illinois legends. So kind of there's a big Michigan fan base in Illinois, so that was kind of a big push for me. You know, it was good. It was definitely a plus.
All right, so we know it sounds like you're recruiting Jamel Howard, right? So you're recruiting Jamel. Are there any other guys that you're targeting at this point, even if they're underclassmen? Because I know there are a few Illinois guys. You got Justin Scott, who's a big target. Amarion Stewart, who's a big target. Marquise Lightfoot, who's a big target. You know any of those guys? You talking to any of those guys about Michigan?
One more. How about younger brother too? Gotta recruit him.
Oh yeah. He knows where to go. But I'm definitely recruiting my boy Justin. Me and Justin, I've been recruiting him for a minute. You know, I'm trying to get him over to Ann Arbor with us. Justin, I'm hoping my little brother, obviously Christian. He kind of has to go to Michigan now. I'm trying to like force him to come to Michigan with me now. You know, I want to play with him again. There's a lot of good talent, like especially Eddie Turek for Lions Township. He's really like, we got some dogs, especially in the D line of Illinois. We're kind of underrated in that position, but we have some dogs, like especially in the younger classes as well as.
And so I guess my last one for you guys, if you can chime in if you have any of us. But what's the plan for you now with your recruitment out of the way? What's ahead for you in winter and spring? When do you report to Michigan?
I report to Michigan June 6th, and until then, I'm just working. I want to get on the field. I want to play. So I'm just working. I'm working as hard as I can, coming to college ready.
All right. Well, Rod, appreciate your time. Congratulations on this decision, and we'll see you when you get to Ann Arbor.
Thank you.
All right. That's Roderick Pierce, folks, one of the members of Michigan's recruiting class, one of the recent additions to the class. Michigan successfully flipping him in the end as he decommitted from Wisconsin. Put himself back out there. Illinois was a factor. He visited there the weekend prior to committing to Michigan, but Ryan Walters left that. I think he would have committed to Michigan either way, fellas. But the fact that Ryan Walters left kind of made it a foregone conclusion. At least that's how it seemed to me. I wonder what you guys think.
I think so. I mean, it's hard not to, kind of like what we said with Jyaire Hill, right? I mean, pretty similar situation there. I agree, though, more this one, Pierce, I think, still leaning more towards Michigan. The Hill one maybe would have been a little bit more uncertain. But yeah, I mean, either way, like you said, we talk, how many kids do we talk to every cycle that signed with Michigan, and you're like, yeah, this kid is a fit at Michigan. This kid knows what, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
crystal clear example right there. Not only just that passion for the game. It's like you hear a kid saying that his favorite part is stopping the run. You never hear that from a defensive lineman, So like I said, if any of the staff was listening, I think they'd be smiling like crazy right now. But the other thing too to remember that was kind of interesting is he just flat out canceled the Texas visit. I mean, that's a pretty significant little nugget, if you're Michigan, considering, how well Texas is recruited. Well, not just under Sarkisian, just always, Texas is always a school that's going to recruit big time players. So, for him to just flat out cancel that visit after seeing Michigan, I think is, like I said, a good indicator that Michigan obviously still resonating with top guys every year.
Yeah. Brice, you're live on location at Semaj Morgan's announcement or his ceremony. He's already announced and signed and all of that, right? So kind of bring that up, but I want to give you a chance to dunk on some people, Brice. I want to give you a chance to do a victory lap, man, because you put in a crystal ball on Jyaire Hill, and like 20 seconds later, you try to give Steve Clinkscale a heart attack, trying to make Brice look bad by not putting Michigan in the top 5, but people were kind of trying to give it to you on Twitter. So what do you have to say to those folks?
Listen.
Oh my God.
I think with that recruitment, there was so many twists and turns that we kind of figured there'd be another twisted turn. It just wasn't going to end.
Mike in front of your mouth, right? There you go.
It just wasn't going to end that way. I think the biggest thing with that recruitment was,
hey, Miles, come sign this right quick for Mr. Green. You got to leave.
Yeah.
So I just think at that point it was a matter of can they see it? And obviously Klink got the deal done. It's big time. That's a big time recruit. That's a guy we all talk about had to land. I think it's pretty simple. It was a must land. They landed him. I think he's got a chance to play right away. We'll go from there. And actually, I got a guest here.
Well, before we get to your guest,
okay,
we got Jason Hewlett about to come on. So do this. The other headset, turn it down all the way down or mute. There might be a mute button on the mixer there. There's not a mute button. Turn the gain all the way down. So that was muted. And then we'll get Jason Hewlett on, who, fellas, we all have our picks for. I think you just turned yourself down, Brice.
Well, he's recording at a country club somewhere.
Brice, you just turned yourself down. I said turn the other headset down. But anyway.
No, I'm on mute. That was mute. That was mute.
Got you. All right. So we all have our picks for who the sleeper in the class is, who the most athletic guy in the class is. I wait till the class is complete to do my signing day superlatives piece. And so the best athlete in the class, in my opinion, the guy that I think is slept on the most is our next guest, because I think he's an absolute animal. And his name is Jason Hewlett, joining us right now from Youngstown, Ohio. Cheney High School is in the building. This is Steve Clinkscale's hometown. And so this was one that he had great pride in. So first things first, Jason, congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, man. So let's go through your recruiting journey and how you wound up with Michigan being on your radar and then ultimately committing to the Wolverines. So take us all the way through it.
I'm gonna start at the beginning. Beginning last year, football season, first game of the season, I broke my leg. I committed to Cincy like 2 weeks after. After that, I was with Cincy for a year. Then Coach Klink started recruiting me. At first, I was a little hesitant. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to even think about talking to another school. So I kind of pushed him off. But he still kept showing love. He ain't showing me no fake love. Even off the field, even when he didn't retain about nothing about football, he still kept showing love. So that made me start thinking. I'm like, if he's still showing this amount of love without even football involved, I got to give him a shot. I got to come up there at least once, show him, see how it is. As soon as I stepped foot in Michigan and seeing everything, I fell in love, and I knew that's where I wanted to be.
So for people who haven't seen you play, I love having guys give their own scouting reports of themselves. So you're a scout in the stands or a coach, and you're watching Jason Hewlett on the field. Break down your game. Tell me what we'll see. Tell the fans what they can expect to see.
They can expect to see a lot, me playing a lot of different positions. I know from the last 4 years of my film, you see a lot. You see me playing quarterback. You see me playing receiver. You see me a little bit of running back. You see DN. You see everything. So I know I can play a lot of positions because that's what I grew up playing. I just grew up playing football. I never grew up just playing one spot because I always had a lot of energy and I always wanted to go to the spots where our team was a little weak at because I knew I could help in that area. So you can see me playing a lot of different positions.
Steve?
Yeah, I had a hard time figuring out what position you project to the best when watching your film. I think that was the hardest thing to figure out was like, where are you going to play? How have those conversations been with the coaching staff? I mean, I know things are always a little bit different when you actually get to campus and the pads are on, they can see how you move around and stuff. But what's kind of been the focus so far, at least for you, is what they view you as?
Oh yeah, all I know is I'm playing on the defensive side of the ball. I know I'm gonna be a hybrid guy, safety linebacker hybrid. But they said it all depends on how my body turn out and how I develop in the weight room. So it would be nice to see how that turn out.
You ever say to them like, hey, if it's possible to play both sides of the football, I'd love to do something like that?
Now I had talked to other schools about that, but my heart is on defense.
Okay.
I'll go way farther just playing one side of the ball and focus on one side of the ball.
Sure. So other thing I wanted to ask, so they get you, Cam, Calhoun, Breon, and DJ, all out of Ohio. Ohio State didn't offer any of you guys. Is that something that you guys kind of care or have talked about or carry with you as far as, seeing now that Michigan's won 2 in a row? Michigan's kind of the big dog on the block right now in the Big Ten. You guys coming in though with that chip on your shoulder? Because it's, being Ohio guys, I know Ohio State's always kind of viewed as the team,
Yeah, just being where we from, period. Like where we from, we always been counted out. The old state stuff aside, we always been counted out even in our own city. So like we always got that chip on our shoulder. And back to the old state thing, yeah, none of us got old by old state. We all feel like we should have. We all feel like we good enough talent too. So we're just gonna have to prove everybody wrong like we've been doing, and they're gonna have to see us the next 4 years. So there's no need to really speak on it.
Sure. Gotta love it.
Yeah,
You gotta love it, right? All right, Brice, what's up, man? You got something for him?
Can you hear me? Yes. Check. Yeah. I just want to say congrats. And how close would you say the class is connected? I mean, obviously, the Ohio guys, you guys know each other, but outside of those guys, how close is this class, would you say?
Yeah, just them 4 guys you just named. We were just on our official last talk. Like we knew each other our whole life. Plus me knowing DJ and we playing for the same school, us competing against each other every day at practice. That relationship always there. And the guys in the group chat, we always just talk, bond and stuff like that. When you got a brotherhood, when you first see each other and you just click like that, it's something special. So wait till we actually get to be around each other every day, talk to each other every day, and really get to know each other. So I think it's going to be special.
So look, I know your focus is on your circle with Cheney, your town in Youngstown. But I'm curious. I mean, you talk to other players around the state. How much is it impacting the perception of Michigan across Ohio? The fact that Michigan beat the brakes off of Ohio State two years in a row. Is that resonating? Are you? I mean, why are y'all? Am I exaggerating? They beat the brakes. I'm just saying. I mean, is that making a difference in the eyes of prospects across the state?
I'm gonna say it is, because the first year, Michigan beat Ohio State. Everybody got their excuse. It's a fluke. This and this. This and this. This and this. Ain't no fluke once you beat them twice. It's just what it is. They gonna have to give us our respect now. We about to beat them next 4 years, so we really go earn our respect. So everybody gonna is either jump on board or get ran over.
So speaking of jumping on board, I want to know what kind of recruiter Jason Hewlett is, because there's another Youngstown guy behind you in Brian Robinson. And B Rob has been up here a number of times. He's a top Michigan recruit out of Youngstown. So do you talk to Brian? I mean, what do you think about Michigan's chances with him?
Yeah, that's my family. I think they got a strong shot. I talk to him. We talk a lot. But the same thing I told everybody with DJ, I want his recruiting to be his recruiting. I don't want me to brainwash him, because the things I like, he might not like. The things he like, I might not like. So I want him just to get the feel of everything, even though I feel like Michigan will be the best spot for him. And I know he's going to see that later on. But I want him to see everything and make sure it's just perfect and everything for him.
All right, my last one for you, and fellas, if you have one on the way out for Jason, go ahead. But you told us about you. I love hearing players talk about other players. Game recognizes game, as they say. So tell me about DJ's game, what he brings to the table. I don't know who else you've really watched in the class other than DJ, but if you've seen some of the other guys, kind of break down what you think they're going to bring to the table for Michigan too.
I'm going to start with DJ. DJ, man, that's my brother for real. We play on the same team. Me competing with him at practice and me going against him in the games our junior and sophomore years when we wasn't on the same school. He's the best player I ever played against. He reminds me so much of me, just because we do come from the same city. I know what he's going through. He know what I'm going through. We know, like, we don't get that tackle. We try and move our families to a better situation. So anything we do, we doing it hard. We going all at it, and we don't never want to be second best. Us on the team this year, we competed every day at practice. Don't let me win a rep. Don't let him win a rep, because we go talk about it. But at the end of the day, we come together. That's my brother. And Cam, we was watching in a hotel. We was watching each other film. Cam, man, that man can hit for real. Nice ball skills. Everybody ruled him out because he's a little undersized, but he played big, and that's all that matter. He gonna be special. DJ gonna be special. The whole class gonna be special. So we're just gonna shock everybody.
Maybe it's a pipeline starting. I mean, Steve Klinkscale, he loves recruiting the state of Ohio, and it seems like that's on the uptick. Klink had a lot to do with that. Definitely had a lot to do with getting you there, Jason. So again, congratulations on becoming a Wolverine. What does the next few months look like for you? I mean, when do you report to Michigan?
I'm going in the summer. These next few months, I'm gonna be playing basketball, running track. And just to touch back on Coach Klink, I think everybody fall in love with him because he don't never lie. He just keep it real. He don't juice up nothing. He ain't promising you nothing. And that's what I wanted to hear. When I went up there on the visit, they say they ain't promised me everything like the other schools promised. They ain't promised me playtime. They ain't promised me this. They ain't promised me that. That's something Coach Klink don't do. He don't promise me nothing. So I really enjoyed that. Everybody else promised me something. Coach Klink just told me how it is. You come up here, it's big dog. We top 2 teams in the country. Like, if you come in here slacking off, playing around, you're not going to touch the field. You're going to just be one of them other guys that they used to talk about. So that's what I really enjoy, just the honesty.
Big time. Big time. Jason, congratulations, man. Can't wait to see you do your thing. We're going to have to come down and watch you on the hoop court. You got some game?
Yes, sir. I averaged 22 this year. We just played St. B's. We lost, but I ain't got no excuse, but them refs need to get checked out for sure.
Jason Hewlett, appreciate your time, man. We're definitely coming to check you out now, so we'll see you on the hardwood here in a couple months.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks a lot. That's Jason Hewlett. Hey, that's my pick, fellas. That's my pick for the guy who is going to outperform his ranking the most. I don't know where you stand on it, Steve. I know there'll probably be some votes. Cam Calhoun, who Jason talked about. Cam Calhoun is a good bet too. I think Michigan's Ohio Hall, and you mentioned this earlier, Steve, when we were over in the other live. Michigan's Ohio Hall could wind up being really good because they got a lot of high upside guys out of the Buckeye State.
Big time. That's what I said. I think when we look back at this class someday, I think those 4 guys could end up kind of defining the bigger picture of how this class goes because they are high ceiling type players, right? I mean, there's the guys that are currently ranked on the higher end, guys like Evan Link, at a Cabana, guys that we feel pretty good are going to make an impact at some point for sure. But yeah, you talk about a Jason Hewlett or a Breon Ishmael or a DJ Waller and yeah, Calhoun also. Even a couple of the other guys. I think even a Hayden Moore is a guy I think if he was in a higher scouted area would probably be ranked higher than where he is right now. But those 4 Ohio guys, yeah, all possess major ceilings. And I think that's where, like I said, when we look back at some point, and if even 3 of those 4 guys become what they're capable of, I think Michigan fans will be really happy someday with how this class actually ends up turning out.
Man, I think that dude maybe gave the best description of Steve Clinkscale I've ever heard of. Right? Because that's exactly to a T who Steve Clinkscale is. He is a what you see is what you get guy, and he is a what you see is what you get recruiter, which is why if I'm Jyaire Hill, I'm not trying to get that dude a heart attack. I mean, you weren't in the live, Brice, but he trolls everyone that wasn't paying attention, right, to the Michigan Insider. He trolls everyone by not putting Michigan in his Final 5. And then when he announces it, he said, "Hey, Clink, did I give you a heart attack?" So what that tells you is he wasn't even calling Clink down the stretch, man. Gotta really, really juicing it up. I'm like, man, I don't know. That's not the dude that I want to do that to.
No. So we're basically
We know Brice wouldn't do. We know Brice doesn't want to do that to him, for sure. Right, Brice?
Well, listen, everyone. I've been knowing Clink, so I can tell this story now. How I met Clink. It must be about 15, 16 years ago. And I don't know how he got my number. And he was like, "Hey, man, you recruiting my guy from Michigan?" And I said, "Who is?" Now, you know me. I was like, "Man, who is this?" He was working in Illinois at the time. I said, "Hey, man, I don't know you. You don't know me." I said, "Man, I'm not recruiting anybody from Michigan." He said, "Well, you talking to this dude about me?" I said, "They offered him a scholarship. They're recruiting him." And so I'm interviewing the dude. I'm not recruiting him from Michigan. And that's how I got to know Clink from that point. Like, he's a what you see is what you get guy. And that's how I am kind of thing. So that's how I got to know Clink. But that is why I say that's the most accurate description I've ever heard, because he's the kind of guy, if he has a problem with you, boom, he's gonna pick up the phone and let you know he has a problem with you, right? So
he's honest.
He's very, very honest.
And the best part of that whole interview is he said, "Oh, by the way, I want to say one more quick thing about Clink. You know what I mean? Like, these guys, even though he's honest and he's so straightforward and he's like, people can even say tough, they respect him. And you could see that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest thing. And that's why they're landing kids like him out of the Youngstown area. It's not just because he's from the same area. Because I went to high school with people I don't like. That doesn't mean crap. But the thing is, he connects with them. And you could see that in that interaction you guys had with Jason.
Yeah. All right. So you said you had a guest. Do you still have a guest, or we gotta delay it?
Let's delay it. Let me go get someone right now.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
You two, do what you got to do.
So you guys got to understand how this works out. Go ahead, Brice. Go ahead and do that. Put the microphone down. This is Brice's first time taking all the equipment on location. So he has the mixer, a couple of headphones. We show him how to set up the mix and hook it into the computer. So he went out and he's live on location because we wanted to make sure we like to show the local guys some real love. And so Semaj Morgan is having a big time ceremony and we wanted to have a presence there. But I also had to be here so I could do the Jyaire announcement. I can only imagine how bad it. I mean, as bad as the audio and video was, I can only imagine what it would have been like if I was on location out there too. So I see where we're going now. We have Amir Herring joining us now. Amir, who we talked to on the morning show, now is finally had an opportunity to sink in that you're officially a Wolverine, Amir. So what does it feel like, man, to be able to walk around town saying you're officially signed with Michigan?
It just feels really good, just overall. You know, I've been committed for 5 months. So just getting the time to finally say I'm officially a Wolverine and moving in on campus, you know, getting started with this group of guys that's in our recruiting class.
I didn't ask you this morning, so we can get into it now. And I know Brice and Steve have questions for you. I've watched you a ton. Brice and Steve have too, but we have a lot of people watching now who've never seen Amir Herring. So break down your game. What will they see when they watch you on the football field?
I just finished guys. That's really the name of the game. I'm a road grader type of player who's gonna bring, you know, technique in his game in the run game and the pass game. I'm a very technical player, very smart player, and I'm always gonna be prepared really when my name is called at any position. And I could play around the offensive line, either tackle, guard, or center.
Steve?
Amir, what stands out about Sherrone Moore? I mean, obviously Michigan's won the Joe Moore Award twice now. We know that they can produce offensive linemen. But as far as Sherrone Moore as a coach and a guy, like what stands out about him? What do you think makes him as effective as he's been for the Michigan offensive line the last 2 years?
A lot of the guys in the room, it's a lot of unselfishness. So just a lot of the guys, they bought in really to the program that Coach Moore has set in the offensive line room. We want to finish guys, we're road graders, and we're going to be technicians on the field.
Have they discussed, I know you'll be an interior guy, I'm sure, is it guard or center? I mean, or is there no set spot where they really kind of look at you for right now?
It's not a set spot, but I'm for sure going to be an interior guy at guard and center. You know, Coach Moore likes the flexibility that I have as a guard and a center. He sees, you know, a lot of future in me at both positions.
Absolutely.
Brice Marich?
No, I mean, obviously, you know, Amir, we've seen you at camps, since your freshman year even. You mentioned you're excited to go block for Donovan again. Can you just talk about that pipeline that West Bloomfield has with, I guess, Michigan? Well, what do you think about that, going into that?
West Bloomfield, they just have a rich tradition of really guys that's going to the next level. And, you know, with me and Semaj going to Michigan, you know, we're creating a little pipeline to Ann Arbor. So just overall, I can't wait to see, you know, who we got next coming in the system through West Bloomfield, who's going to join us in Ann Arbor.
I'm curious, Amir, because, I mean, we watched you grow up. Watch you grow up in the game. Watch you grow up as a young man. I felt like we watched you grow as a leader this year, right? I mean, because this year it was your team, right? You and Semaj, this was you guys were looked to. And I won't forget after the Rochester Adams game, you guys lost, and it wasn't just that you got beat; it was that you guys played uncharacteristic mistakes. You know, guys kind of losing composure at times, and that's what you seized upon. You were talking about how, hey, man, we got some things to correct beyond, you know, some of the mistakes we made on the field. We got to correct ourselves when it comes to composure and dealing with adversity. And that really struck me as you maybe kind of seeing guys were looking to you to kind of set that lead. Was that something that came naturally? Or was that something that you had to focus on doing, becoming that kind of leader?
Naturally, I'm a lead by example type of guy. I'm really not a big talker to people, like talking to people. But just overall, I know I needed to step in that role and we need to clean some stuff in house really after that loss. So just me, I had to step kind of in a different role and be more vocal. So that's what I had to do in that moment for my team. Whatever my team needs, I'm going to do for them. and whatever it takes to really clean up the mistakes that we need to clean up. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I'm also curious as you look at this class. I mean, did you lay your hands on a lot of guys in recruiting? I mean, were you actively kind of helping to bring guys into the fold? And if that's the case, are you still trying to work on bringing? Because there's some other guys out there that haven't committed yet. And I'm wondering, are you working the phones trying to make that happen?
On the recruitment end, we just as a group, we're relentless really with the recruitment as a group and as the recruiting class. Just overall, getting Carmelo English and Jyaire Hill a couple hours ago,
Yeah,
just got him. But we really just work hard, really just showing the guys love, really, that the coaching staff love and we love and we need them in our program and how they gonna fit really as a puzzle piece to the big puzzle that we're gonna build, and that's winning the national championship.
What are the next? What's next for you, Amir? In terms of anything you're going to be participating in, what you're working on when it comes to physically, and when do you report to Michigan?
So actually, my first day in Michigan will be tomorrow. First day will be tomorrow, so I'll be reporting there, and then I'll be playing in the Under Armour All-American game on January 3rd on ESPN. And then after that, on January 20th, I'll be playing at the Polynesian Bowl on NFL Network.
Man, so it's a full slate for you. You get a chance to get some practice. You get to practice with Michigan a little bit?
Yes, sir.
Okay, man. So you get to practice with Michigan, play in the Under Armour All-American game, get to play in the Polynesian Bowl. Are your parents going with you to Hawaii?
Yes, sir.
They got us.
Wow. Well, congratulations.
Can't miss that trip.
Oh.
Yeah, man. Soak it up, soak it in. Can't wait to see you in the maize and blue. But until then, looking forward to seeing you in the All-Star games, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Amir Herring. They're calling it, Steve. Let me put up some of the comments here. I've been trying to add a few. They're calling them the trench mob. That's what they're calling them in the chat. Calling Michigan's line group, offensive line and defensive line, calling them the trench mob, which I think is pretty catchy.
That's not. I could see that hanging on. I think I could see that catching a little bit of, if we push that out there a little bit, I think that could stick. That's not something the coach is going to be down about. They're going to love hearing something like that. I could see some edits sent out to recruits with something like that on there, right? So, hey, I mean, what was it? Was it the 2013 offensive line class under Hoke? Had the 6 4-star guys.
Right. Really,
none of them panned out, and now just the last few years we're finally, it does. People might think it's crazy, but a recruiting miss of that magnitude can take forever to kind of get out of. Maybe not as long as it used to be because of the portal, but just from a recruiting standpoint, it takes a long time to build a year in and year out unit up front that can produce. Because even during those downtimes, Michigan had individual linemen that were really, really good, but across the board, they never had 5 guys that were, Big Ten caliber starting every game. And now, with these 3 pickups this cycle, what they've done in the portal, Michigan next year, even whoever they lose, whoever they don't lose, either way, will be replacing those guys with Big Ten ready offensive linemen who should excel at a high level. I mean, I don't know about you, Sam. I don't think there's any reason to think Michigan can't compete for the Joe Moore Award again next season, honestly. So, right, and guys like Amir, Evan Link, Nathan Afobe don't have to be in a hurry to see the field. I mean, it's freshmen, it's difficult to see the field as a freshman up front. And Michigan now has afforded themselves the chance to actually legitimately be able to develop guys like that and make them field ready before they actually have to hit the field. So, great pickups. Yeah, trench mob. Yeah, I can see that fitting.
I can see it sticking too. This one is not a surprise. Jason signed with Florida. You know what it does though, because that was another Flint guy. And I'm telling you something. This is something that was relevant in the recruitment of Carmelo English. Ron Bellamy maintained that relationship, that connection, even after that kid committed. to Auburn. So when he decommitted, he was already in position. That is a strategy that I think applies to recruiting more broadly. Now, not just about guys who might decommit, but guys who are going to hit the portal. Fellas, I mean, if you're a coach now, you better not be burning bridges. Better not be getting in your feelings about losing a guy, because there's a decent chance that an opportunity is going to come back around for you to maybe have another bite at the apple. So you end on good terms. You have a good rapport, because if they hit that portal, and we see Michigan killing the game in the portals, I want to kind of seize upon that conversation a little bit before we start getting back to guests. But you better be keeping that in mind. I need to keep this relationship, because there's a chance you're gonna have a chance you're gonna have an opportunity to recruit him again, Brice.
No, I think that's a great point. You know, the other thing with it is, I think when you're looking at their portal recruiting, they're being selective. I call it portal shopping, essentially. And they're looking for the guys that fit what they need, but they're not just quantity, they're quality as well. And I think that's the biggest difference when you look at some of these schools who's taking 20 guys and looking at basically flip a roster compared to Michigan, who's basically looking for more plug and play sort of players. And when you're looking at that too, biggest thing we've talked about is culture. And 4 of the 7 are captains, and the other 3, Sam, are guys that they highly recruited coming out of high school. I mean, you look at Ernest Hausman. That's a guy they really want out of high school. Mouse Hinn, that's another guy they really want out of high school. And like I said, with the captains, you got Jack Tuttle, captain, A.J. Barner, captain, you know, all these guys. So you could kind of see their plan of attack, how they're approaching the portal. I think it's smart, because bottom line, I don't know if this recruiting class is where they wanted it to be, but how do you fix that? And how do you kind of make it an instant improvement? Go into the portal, find a couple guys you really like, and turn it around. And I think that's what you're saying with this recruiting class and just overall cycle.
Yeah, it's a great segue, Steve, because, you know, we're going to have to dedicate a whole episode, a separate episode, to Michigan's portal guys. We'll get those guys, try to get those guys on so we can interview them as well and introduce you to them. But Steve, when you evaluate this class and see where it's ranked just with the incoming recruits, I can't remember what I think it was like 19 or 20, somewhere in the teens, right? I don't know where it is now.
16th.
It's 16th now. Obviously there's a disparity there when you consider they're arguably the number 1 team in the country. So fans understandably are saying, wait a minute, why are we number 1 on the field and number 16 in recruiting? I get it. And there are some things that they can improve, no doubt. But when you add to the equation the work they did in the portal, at least in my eyes, maybe not according to the 24/7 rankings, they'll have them. They'll adjust it for the portal. I don't think they quite have them top 10, but to me, when you add Michigan's portal guys in there, I think it's a top 10 haul.
It's really not that far behind. Like the 2020 class was ranked 12th. The 2018 class was ranked 22nd, the one that panned out so well, right? And like I said, I think the other thing too, and I mean, this is just my opinion. I think in some of those other classes, I think they're in the past, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. I think there were guys that Michigan would take that I'm not 100% convinced were Michigan caliber guys necessarily, right? And so that's where those Ohio guys we talk about, even like an athlete like Kendrick Bell, whether he's related to Ronnie Bell or not, like there's upside, like legitimate upside with a lot of these guys, like real upside. And I think that's where I think there's that's where I think there's a difference. The top half of these classes is always going to be strong. You're always going to really be able to see the potential up front, so a lot of times with Michigan, but I mean, how many more classes do we have to watch Michigan sign to understand how many of these lower ranked guys end up panning out? Josh Uche, Kwity Paye. I mean, guys that are doing major work in the pros right now some of the guys that were. Kwity Paye was the lowest ranked guy in the 2017 class and may have ended up being has ended up having the best football career of anybody in that entire class, right? So, at this point, Michigan's evaluation process, they know when they're looking, what type of athletes they're looking for, what type of measurables they're looking for, and et cetera, et cetera. So I guess what I'd say is, they've at least earned the opportunity for fans to be a little bit more patient with the way that they recruit sometimes, because, we see it. Yeah. I mean, we see like what schools like Oregon and Miami have done today. Will Michigan ever go that route? I'm not convinced that they will, especially now that we've seen how well the portal has worked out for Michigan, because what I think is so fascinating is I think the portal may be the way for Michigan, because kids that are through their first, second, even third year aren't going to fall for all the bells and whistles that they may have as a high school kid. They're going to want to go where they get the best chance to play at the next level, while earning potential like the NIL opportunities and stuff. And I think, that's where Michigan can really kind of, I think, build a full roster, kind of combining those two ideas. So one other thing I want to mention real quick, you guys were talking about the relationships. When I talked to Ernest Hausman, you mentioned Ernest Hausman. When I talked to him after he committed to Michigan, it was interesting. When I asked him how much he liked, I was like, "What do you think about Michigan the first time around?" I was like, "Because I know you never ended up visiting Michigan, but I know they were a school that liked you and recruited you." He said, "Well, the thing about Michigan is throughout the process, he said, I always had respect for their coaching staff, and right."
Mm-hmm.
So, that's like you said, Sam, is where Michigan, that's you can't get in your feelings about any of these recruitments at all. And they don't. I always say when Michigan misses out on a guy, I think fans get more upset about it than the coaching staff actually does. Right. So, it's because I think there's a bigger picture there. And, again, another area where the way Michigan recruits is something that can pay off for them. It pays off with them with guys like Jason Hewlett. Mentions Klink as a guy that isn't going to promise him anything, is straight up with him. But it can also really help you down the road with guys that you liked earlier in the process, maybe chose somewhere else and doesn't not the right fit, or they want to move on, and then Michigan can kind of come in and strike.
Brice, I'm curious your thoughts overall on the class, and specifically on the job they did in the portal.
Let's, start with the portal. I think, one, they're not done. But at the same time, I don't think they're to the point where we're going to see the multiple ads every hour, which we've seen the past few days. I think at this point, it comes down to who's returning. If you lose a couple guys at corner, then maybe they might, look at corner a little harder, which they already are, and they've already kind of reached base with some of these guys. But I think that's one area. Another position is running back. What does Blake do? And do they even feel like they need another running back? They felt they need a backup QB. Check. They felt they need some offensive linemen. Check. So they've done all that. Then when it comes to this recruiting class, I think, Sam, like we said last podcast, you got to sprinkle in a couple top elite players. You got Jyaire Hill, Cole Cabana, these are guys that can make an impact, and I think right away. When you're looking at cornerback, that's a position I think you could see the field as a freshman and make an impact. Running back, I think, is another spot. Defensive lineman, that's tough. I mean, we've seen Mason Graham, but there's not a lot of Mason Grahams that can obviously step in and do that. So,
hey man, Courtney was calling me. Courtney Morgan was calling me during the broadcast. I got to call him back. He was probably calling about Jyaire Hill. Washington was recruiting Jyaire Hill hard, but you mentioned Mason Graham, and because this is a question that we get, because we got more guests. We're going to talk to Cole Cabana. He's coming up in the next hour. We're gonna Semaj Bridgman is saying he's gonna come on as well. Brice has some others there that we're gonna try to get, but people keep asking, okay, so what would you do? What did you see on the horizon for Michigan as far as things they can do to kind of get the recruiting fortunes closer to the on-field fortunes? I think one thing they've already done is the portal. I think they found whatever that cheat code was that would allow them to identify guys that they could actually get in school, right? Guys with multiple years of eligibility like Ernest Hausman, right? They've, I think, found a nice mix of grad transfers and guys early enough in their careers, or guys at a place like Stanford that even if they're 3 years in, they can transfer and they won't lose credits. They found that good mix. The next thing I think is resource allocation in recruiting, right? So if it's me, I think one of the biggest things that they lost recruiting wise in the cycle, of course, you lost a relationship guy in Courtney Morgan. That was tough. That was really, really tough to have a recruiting staffer that is responsible for Mason Graham. Courtney Morgan is responsible for Mason Graham, so you need to be sending him some royalty checks. Courtney Morgan is responsible for Zeke Berry. Courtney Morgan is responsible for Deuce Spurlock. You had a recruiting guy who was a recruiter, right? So, but that's compounded by now you take Sharon, who is arguably the top recruiter on your staff, and now you have to confine him a bit based on the elevation of his role. You just can't put a play caller, you can't spread him as thin as you do a regular position coach, right? And this was something that I learned from Courtney, and it's not unique to Michigan. Georgia does it the same way. You go around the country and they use their coordinators more as closers. Sure, they have a position to recruit, but you can't do with Sharon Moore what you used to do. Hey, Sharon, go recruit Dax Hill. Hey, Sharon, go recruit Darion Green Warren. On top of your position, on top of your area in Illinois. You can't do that anymore. So who replaces that? My candidate, the guy that he would be my new Sharon Moore. And I'm curious what you think about this, Steve. Jay freaking Harbaugh. Jay freaking Harbaugh. I would drop him on any of my top guys. Any of my top guys that you kind of felt like you needed an extra sort of recruiting assist on, be it a quarterback, be it a running back, wherever. Because think about it. Think about for a second the pros that Jay Harbaugh has recruited. Jay Harbaugh recruited Zach Charbonnet. Jay Harbaugh recruited, Hassan Haskins as a developmental guy. Jay Harbaugh recruited Blake Corum, beat Ohio State for him. Jay Harbaugh recruited Donovan Warren, beat Ohio State for him. Jay Harbaugh recruited Colston Loveland, beat Alabama for him. The dude recruits pros. So if it's me and I'm looking for my new jack of all trades guy, that hey, we might be lagging with this guy or lagging with that guy, and we got a recruiter that might need an assist from someone else on staff. Steve Lorenz, Jay Harbaugh is that guy for me.
Easy choice, right? I think you're spot on, Sam. I mean, definitely one of the. He had Najee Harris. For me, we all know, we don't have to go down that road again. But Michigan, he was the 1,000% reason why Michigan, well, I guess we'll just say got as far as they did, I guess, with Najee Harris or whatever, however you want to put it. But yeah, and one of the better combinations in the country has recruited his position really well and has coached his position really well. Jake Butt wins the Mackey under his tutelage. We've seen what those guys that he recruited at running back have done the last few years. The other thing too, and it's his evaluations, even guys that didn't end up at Michigan, I'll turn on a game every once in a while or highlights across the country. And there's just this weird pattern. I noticed where guys who are doing things across the country at different schools, I'm like, yeah, that was one of Michigan's top guys. No crap about it either. Legit, that was Michigan's top target at running back a few cycles ago, or top 3. Michigan was the first school to host Bijan Robinson on an unofficial visit. They were the first school to offer Travion Henderson. These are there's just he's always kind of been a step ahead, both in the relationship building aspect, but really the evaluation process as well, I feel like. So absolutely. Ties across the country. He's definitely the kind of guy I think you could throw in any living room or any high school, and is gonna make a legitimate connection kid, parent, coach, whoever, and yeah, because Sharon did, what Sharon did the last few cycles, like that. Darian Green Warren's a great example, as a guy playing at one of the top high school programs in the country. It's like, what the hell's Sharon Moore doing in California recruiting Darian Green Warren? Like, doesn't even make sense. And then it's like, oh, well, yeah, he's the ace recruiter on the staff. I think Partridge kind of used to fill that role for Michigan when he was there too. As a guy that you could basically, he could fall asleep and you could put him on the plane and drop him off and he'll find his way to the high school and get 4-star kind of guy. So, but yeah, I think Jay and Jay, I know, worked really closely with Chris Partridge when they were both on staff too, as a guy that has soaked up and learned from other guys and other coaches and stuff too. So yeah, I mean, absolutely would be the kind of guy I think you could send anywhere and have success.
Good pick.
A real weapon and a guy who I think is going to be, I mean, you think about Sharon being in head coaching mentions, rightfully so. You think about Jesse Minter being in head coaching mentions, and rightfully so. Right there with him to me is Jay Harbaugh. And it's a travesty that he doesn't get more mention. That's not me trying to talk him into leaving. That's just me saying that dude, he's coaching.
He deserve it. He deserve it for sure.
To the ball, he doesn't get enough credit for the kind of coach he is, and he damn sure doesn't get enough credit.
No.
So this is one for you, Brice. Resource allocation. They got to figure out a way to make Denard more of a presence in the recruiting staff circle, right? Right now it just seems like he's an on-campus guy.
Well, I think you're starting to see it. I think you're starting to see it. And you see Chris Ewald, a kid from South Florida, is a 2025 guy. He's a top 100 player in that class, and I get it. He's 3 years away, so that recruitment can have tons of changes. But Denard had his fingerprints all over that recruitment, and I think he's a guy that, Sam, like you said, they need to utilize more. I think when he first got there, he was a face, which is good, but he's a face from 10 years ago. And some of these kids, just because you have the EA game doesn't mean you know who that is, So you get him on campus, get these kids on campus, he gets to interact with them, and he has an instant connection. Him and Chris Bryant, those are the two guys I get all the time of names that really those are the two guys that people really say. And Albert and Christina, they get love as well. Those four, I think, can really be a super team, when it comes to recruiting. I think the other thing, too, that would really help is this offseason not have no drama in terms of Jim Harbaugh. I mean, he already squashed the NFL thing. And then the other thing I would say with that is hopefully you don't have too many coaches leave. Right. And you're playing musical chairs with some of these positions. Because if you keep some of these coaches intact and not move them, that should help recruiting as well. And then the last thing I want to put in, you pick Jay Harbaugh, I'd probably pick Ron Bellamy. I think Ron Bellamy is the guy I would start putting on your top guys. Because, look at the last two
guys he's landed. Yeah,
I'd say look at the last two wide receiver classes: Amarian Walker, Carmelo English, Darius Clements, Tyler Morris. I mean, it's stacked. And what did we see Jay Harbaugh do? Stack the running back room. So that's a guy I would definitely start putting on your top guys. And you're seeing that already with Jaden Davis.
Jaden Davis, Nicholas Harbor. We got a lot of Nick Harbor. We got a lot of Nick Harbor questions in the chat. So yeah. I still think that Michigan is the team to beat for Nick Harbor. I think, you got a couple of feathers in your cap if you're Michigan. You got Mom, who's from Detroit and loves Michigan. You got his track coach, Pam, who is a staunch advocate of the Maize and Blue. You have the experiences that he's had on campus, really, really resonate. And how about this one? See, I didn't even drop this one on the board yet, and I'm about to. So one of the things that they realized when they came around is that Olu Oluwatimi's dad and Nick Harbor's dad, I guess they're from the same place, and so they really vibed. And so that was there was a connection there in that here Olu's experience is a great blueprint. High academic guy, achieved at the highest level on the field, academically, a big time student as well, and is doing all those things that Nick wants to do from being a football player and a student standpoint that Olu's already doing. Now you can add the track element in there too. That is something that Nick wants to do. But again, you got these connections that are really starting to, I think, help Michigan's case more and more and more. That being said, Steve and Brice, I do think that South Carolina is a more formidable foe than I initially thought they were. I think that staff has done a great job recruiting him. I think he's had some great visits down there. I haven't yet figured out what the track lure is for them. I don't know if there's some DMV guys on, in the recruiting class or what, but there seems to be something there that's appealing. But I think Michigan still maintains the lead. My personal opinion, they're in good position. Around Bellamy was down there a couple of times while the recruiting period was going on. And then on top of that, if they can get a quarterback, not just any quarterback, if they can wrap Jaden Davis up in January before Nick makes his decision, I think that's just another element in the equation. Because, Steve, right now, if you're Nick Harbor and you commit, I know he has to look at the quarterback situation at all of these schools, but you can really hey, I get to play with JJ McCarthy 1 year, maybe 2, but likely 1. What's after that? This would answer that question if they're able to get a Jaden Davis in the fold.
Yeah, I'm wondering how many twists and turns there will be in this one too, right? I mean, Maryland's making a major push. Feels like he's been on their campus at least a couple times very recently. South Carolina, you mentioned, I think he's talked about wanting to visit LSU as well. They've always kind of been sneaking around, but yeah, Michigan does have those feathers in their cap. I think a Jaden Davis commitment from a perception standpoint is always going to resonate. I think it could help them in a Harbor type deal, but I think it could also really jumpstart the 2024 class as well too, right? So, but yeah, Nick Harbor going to be a fascinating story, not just wherever he commits and signs, but just his whole college career is going to be very fascinating to follow because he offers a lot of things that I don't think we really normally see. So, I mean, he's probably going to be a topic of conversation every episode we record until the February signing day, right? I mean, it's like it's only a few other guys left, right? So
every minute.
That's why I wonder, how many will this be a twisty and turny type end, of the trip of this recruitment, or will he kind of go through with his plans and just make a decision? I mean, I think that's kind of the big question, because like I said, a guy of his athletic ability and potential caliber is probably going to hear a lot of things from a lot of college coaching staffs before he actually puts his name on the dotted line. So, but yeah, I think, it is one of those recruitments though, where kind of throughout, it's like sort of like the Jaden Davis one. It's like Michigan's kind of been the constant throughout. There have been other schools. South Carolina's had some staying power too, but Michigan's been mentioned for Nick Harbor for longer than even Maryland, who's his backyard school. I mean, Maryland has only recently kind of seemed to surge a little bit. It feels like it's been, Michigan's kind of been one of the first couple schools mentioned throughout the entirety. So a lot of times that can mean good news at the end of the day. It did with Jyaire Hill earlier. It did with a lot of other guys that have committed to Michigan over the years. So, it could be something to kind of think about with Harbor as things eventually wind down.
People are asking, what is he? Obviously he wants to be a receiver. He's a receiver by trade. I think that's what he right out wherever he goes. I think it lends itself to him being the high-level track athlete that he aspires to be. He aspires to be an Olympian, which is why I said in the early going, stop talking. Look, you want to recruit the guy successfully, stop talking about defense. I mean, I understand why people were saying that, but do you want to get him? Or do you just want to be talking about where his greatest upside is? Because the fact of the matter, I think he has great upside wherever he plays. He might be closer to being an impact guy on defense than he is on offense, but he can get there on offense too with some development. When I first went to sit down and talk with him, he compared himself to Megatron and to Kyle Pitts, right? crazy, as I said earlier, that he's faster than both of those guys right now. But who do I see him being more like down the line? I actually think it's Kyle Pitts, right? I think he'll be more that flex sort of super ultra hybrid tight end guy, because Kyle Pitts is not your classic tight end. He's not even Travis Kelce. He's on a bigger Vernon Davis is what someone said. Crazy thing is Kyle Pitts faster than Vernon Davis. Well, Nick Harbor is faster than them. And if you're Michigan, I'm selling the crap out of this because think about Nick Harbor in Colston Loveland's role. Because Colston Loveland is going to take what we just saw Luke Schoonmaker do in terms of targets and turn it on its ear. Yeah. So if you put Nick Harbor in that role, Brice, are you kidding me? How many targets? I mean, you're involved in everything. You're the H guy. You're the rapper on split zones. You're gonna be coming across on duo kicks. So you're gonna be in the run game, right? You're gonna be the tight end or the H guy running line routes, running wheels, running seam routes. They're gonna split you out, put you in mismatch situations. You're gonna get 10, 12 targets a game. I mean, I'd be selling the crap
easy. Should be easy. So I think the other thing too, looking at that is show them the receptions this season. I think Luke right now is third on the team, which some teams might use as a negative. This you can turn into a positive and say, listen, that can be you, but instead of getting tackled by a 9-yard catch, you're taking that to the house because you have something we don't have in this program. And I think that's a big key is the usage. He wants to know that if he comes to whatever school, he's going to get the ball and he's going to be highlighted. And I think with Michigan, you can show him Colston Loveland success as a freshman and say, listen, imagine this be you, but with your skill set, you can take it to another level. So bottom line with this recruitment is hopefully Michigan doesn't make us top 5, and then they'll be good. They just can't make us top 5.
Right. All right. So let's bring in a guest because Michigan just picked up a guy who, in my opinion, I said it earlier, is a top 50 talent. Right. And I got a chance to spend a day down in Kankakee during the summer because, it's one thing to, talk to a dude on the phone. But I realized in the early going that Jyaire Hill was one of Michigan's top guys, top guys. So, man, I got to go down there and spend some time. So went to school, hung with the people, went to one of the local watering holes and hung out over there and talked some more. And then through one of the acquaintances I made back at that time with my guy, Curtis Crosby, he hooked me up with a dude at the school who's my guy, who was Johnny on the spot, who helped us with the live stream, who helped us understand what was going on with Jyaire. So I'm going to bring in Coach JJ Hollis right now. Coach Hollis, how you doing, man? Yeah, I think you're muted. You're muted. You got to take you off mute.
Hey, it's a great day. It's a great day, man. It's a great day. Glad to see him going to Michigan, man. It was a great day. Great day.
All right, so Coach Hollis, we got a lot of fans watching right now who are excited about Jyaire, but they don't know him like you do. They haven't seen him like you've seen him. So break down Jaire's game. Tell the folks what they're getting in Jyaire Hill.
I tell you what, you get one of the best athletes. Before every game, I used to ask him, who's the best player in the country? And he used to say I was. You get one of the top players in the country. I mean, he can play offense, defense. The kid's electrifying. Real fast kid. I mean, this kid is a track kid. You got a heart of a lion. I mean, you getting one of the greatest football players we've had in this city. And you're also getting one of the best players in the country. So I'm telling you right now, Michigan fans better get ready because this kid is electrifying.
He's so electrifying that you almost wonder, man, where is he best utilized? Now he's going to play corner at Michigan. But, man, he's so electric. And I said, man, they got to figure out a way to get the ball in his hands, man. I mean, even if you don't put him on offense and give him a couple plays, at least put the man on special teams and let him be a return guy.
I'm going to tell you, he reminds me of a Michigan legend. He's Desmond Howard waiting to happen.
Ooh.
Telling you right now. He's that explosive. And the crazy thing about it is he has a great upside. He's very coachable. I'm gonna tell you right now, Michigan got, I wouldn't say a steal, but I can tell you right now, he's gonna lead them to a national championship before he leaves. You mark my word.
Man, listen, I don't think it's hyperbole. I've been telling the fellas, and they can attest to it. I think he's a top 50 talent. You know, it's one of those things where part of me wonders if he was, you know, if he was in the land, as they call it, if he was playing in Chicago versus Kankakee, you know, might there be more, because he is a top 247 guy.
Yeah.
But would people see him like I see him as a top 50 guy, even if he was you know, maybe playing in the sea? I don't know if you think that, but I wonder what you attribute that to.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, if he was playing, you're right, at one of the more high-profile schools in the Catholic League or something, because I coached in the Catholic League for years. If he was at one of those schools, we might have heard a little bit more about him. Kankakee football had been down for a while. Him being a top player in the country brought Kankakee back to the level. Kankakee has always had athletes, but he's a generational talent. So with that type of speed, athleticism, and what you're also getting is a great kid with a high football IQ. And so his father was a Division I football player at Northern Illinois University. So, I mean, this kid is lights out. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm just so excited he's at Michigan. I'm just so excited, man.
Two things I want you to put into perspective for us. The recruiting job that Michigan did, that Coach Clinkscale did, because this wasn't easy. This wasn't easy. Illinois made it real hard. Ryan Walters made it real hard. I know they did. So kind of take me through what you think of the recruiting job Michigan did.
Oh, man.
And then the other question is, man, take me through, because you keep talking about him like you've seen him do some amazing things.
Yes.
And what's the most amazing thing, or some of the most amazing things you've seen him do on the football field?
Okay, I'll answer the first one first. When Michigan did a great job recruiting him. Shout out to that whole staff, man. I mean, you know, just the calls every day, the attention they paid to him when he came to visit. They made his family feel welcome. Okay, that was a big thing. His mother and father felt very comfortable with the University of Michigan. Very comfortable. So they did a great job recruiting. That home visit was great. I mean, I think that may have, to be honest with you, I think that sealed the deal. You know, to come to his home, talk with his grandmother, that's a big deal, man. So they did a great job recruiting him, man. A great job. From Bellamy to Clinksdale, everybody did a great job. Great job with him. So, and like I said, he's very happy with his choice, and he's ready to roll, man. He's ready to roll. And I'm going to tell you, one of the things I've seen, some of the stuff I've seen this kid do from the defensive backfield position to break on a football. Sometimes I saw him one time get an interception, and I just knew he wasn't going to get there. I knew he was burnt. I knew it. I just knew it. But this kid's speed, and again, his high football IQ, it was like he was baiting the quarterback in. And all of a sudden, he came out of nowhere, picked it off, pick six to the house. And I just shook my head, man. I was like, but I've been watching him play since he was a little boy. And, you know, I've been at this a long time, and I've been scouting a long time. This kid has it. You have some kids that can play football, but then you have some kids that got it. He has it. And I'm going to tell you, he is a pro. He will be a pro. And because that kid is, you've just seen, you can watch his highlight film, and you still haven't seen the tip of the iceberg of who he's going to be as he grows at Michigan. He made a great choice. Great choice.
Bryce, Steve, you have any questions for Coach Hollis before we let him go?
Yeah, I just got a quick question, Coach. It seemed like he made Coach Clinksdale sweat there when he didn't put them in the top 5. Could you talk about that relationship Jyaire and Clink have?
They have a great relationship. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's what type of kid he is. I mean, we about knew what was gonna happen. Okay, we about knew what was gonna happen. I mean, he's been talking about Michigan for a while. Okay, I think that was just to bring, the drama of it all. You know, I think it was just, just for everything, for the cameras and everything. I think he played it up real well. But we all knew, what was about to happen. Put it this way: not only would Michigan have been shocked, I think all of the city of Kankakee would have been shocked if he had picked somewhere else, because we just knew. I'm gonna tell you right now, Coach Harbaugh and his staff, and as a coach of his, it made me proud to see, because being a former Division I athlete myself, I wasn't recruited like that. Okay, and to see a kid get recruited like that made me feel good, because I know they really wanted it. I know he was top priority on their board. And to see a kid that I watched play since he was 4 years old till now, and watch his hard work pays off, hey, it's a great day here at Kankakee High School in the city of Kankakee. And you guys got a good one in Ann Arbor, I can tell you that.
Steve, anything for Coach Hollis before we let him go?
Nah, it was all good. Covered everything.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Hey, thank you guys, and thank you for everything. And guess what? We got some more recruits. This won't be the last time.
Well, hey, that's a great way to exit, because, man, I think Marquise Easley.
Woo!
I think he's a dude, man. So listen, I think that's a guy that if they're looking at the tape and watching Jyaire, you can't help but see big Marquise Easley. What about him as a prospect?
I'm gonna tell you right now, at 6'7", 315 pounds, this kid moves like a tight end. Or I'm gonna tell you right now, he's athletic. He drops steps and dunks a basketball like nobody's business, man. I mean, this kid is an athlete playing offensive line, and he's nasty. He's nasty, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, he is a Power 5 talent. Whoever gets him, he's All-American waiting to happen. He's All-American waiting to happen. That kid is, and here's the key: he has a great upside. He has a great upside. So, like I said, this won't be the last time you hear from me. We got him, and we got a few more coming behind him. That's whew.
Hey, man. So, hey, I'm gonna be tapping your shoulder again. We got to do some more live sessions down there at Kankakee, right?
Hey, call me anytime. We'll get it going.
All right, Coach Hollis, appreciate your time, man. Thanks a lot.
All right.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right.
So, folks, now you understand why we were trying to tell people to relax a little bit, right? We were trying. They were Brice, Steve. They were doubting us a little bit. It was mostly the people who didn't have subscriptions, though. It was mostly them. When we told the people on the site to calm down, they started to calm down. Now, newsflash for you, right now, but only for a limited time, 50% off annual subscription. So it's a great opportunity to get in. You have playoff coverage coming up. You have All-Star game coverage coming up. You got Nick Harbor's recruitment, which is in the home stretch. He's going to be a late signee. Jaden Davis looks like that's coming around the bend, maybe in January. If you've been on the hook and haven't jumped in, now's the time over at the MichiganInsider.com, 50% off an annual subscription. And that's even open to the monthlies. This is your opportunity to upgrade at a discount. So I advise you to do that. Don't be like that guy who was going at Brice talking about, what's his name? Let me see. Did he delete his tweet yet?
Oh, no, he did. He probably hasn't checked it yet. I haven't gotten a response yet. Clown.
He was trying to dunk on you, right? What are you talking about? Listen, I felt like Michael Jordan. I palmed the basketball. It's like, shoot that thing. Hold on. Like, listen,
how about that comparison, though, guys? Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Brice. I didn't hear you.
I was just going to say, I'm not going to put a crystal ball in and look like a dummy right before signing day. I mean, listen, I think the three of us would say we're pretty good at our jobs. And this recruitment, obviously, they had twists and turns. But as you heard from his coach, all indications were pointing towards Michigan. This is one we kind of felt confident in going in the last week or so really well. And yes, Sam, you mentioned that comparison he made. That's, I mean, No pressure.
You're right. That's
I was just gonna say that. I thought he was gonna say like Steve Breston or like something that's like, oh, okay, maybe one of the 2 or 3 greatest players to ever play at Michigan. All right, no pressure.
But I get it.
No, I athletically,
Right.
absolutely. So that's what's always fascinating about the National Signing Day, the high school to college transition. You see this guy's got potential through the roof. Now it's on Michigan to tap that potential, and see a guy who can make plays on Saturdays.
I mean, Sam, Steve, do you think he could start?
So I think he's gonna play. I think we have yet to see what's gonna happen with DJ Turner and with Jamon Green. Do those guys come back, or do they go to the league? If they come back, the pressure for the freshmen to be ready like right now isn't as great. But I could see Jyaire getting on the field even if they do. It might be more gradual than what we just saw with Will, because for all the reasons I explained before. Will is just he's different. Will have been preparing for his freshman year in college since the 8th grade. His dad played at Michigan. He had been training with all these pros all this time, and he was an early enrollee. So you got a guy who had been taught how to study the game from a very young age, and then you dropped him on campus a lot early. I mean, he practiced with the team in bowl prep like Amir Herring is going to do, and then he early enrolled, went through spring ball. These are advantages that helped him hit the ground running his freshman year at Michigan. You aren't going to have all those same things available to Jyaire Hill. I say that to say I don't know how steep his learning curve is going to be, because that's what it's all about. Physically, he's talented enough to be an impact guy as a freshman, and I'm convinced he's going to be one of the stars of this class. I'm not ready to say that he's gonna be as impactful as Will as early, for the reasons that I laid out.
I think that's a good point. I think the other thing, too, when you look at that is, Will just had 2 interceptions in the Big Ten championship game. He's not your average freshman you're watching. He's an all-American freshman. And like you said, Sam, he's basically a thoroughbred type of person. Horse, where he was raised to play quarterback. You could see it, how technical, how sound he is in the game. He knows how to play the position. That's a big part of why. And plus, the other thing, too, he knows Klink. He knows his coaching style. You can tell he knows the players on the team already. And he's very effective. He's a guy I think is going to be all-American in the next few years. He's that good. But if you can pair him with Jyaire Hill on the other side, that could be a formidable duo right there for Michigan on the back of their defense.
Steve, we've been getting a lot of questions about what the biggest needs in the class were or are. Cornerback, which they've addressed.
Yep.
Right? Cornerback and quarterback are the ones that jumped out at me. They addressed cornerback. The quarterback position was really kind of looking at it from the standpoint of the 2 classes of 23 and 24. You got to get one in one of those cycles. Obviously, the one in this class looks like it's Kendrick Bell, and then which obviously puts the onus on 2024 when you talk about your 5-star high, kind of higher expectation guy coming in the door. That's where sort of Jaden Davis comes into the picture.
Yeah, and Alex Orji, Jaden Denigal, kind of forgotten men already a little bit too, right? It is interesting that they signed 2 in 2022 when there was not necessarily pressure to do so necessarily. Looking back now, we see Dante Moore sign with UCLA today. Pretty clear that some kind of assurance of starting right away or playing right off the bat is something that was going to matter in that recruitment. Bo Nix announces he's coming back to Oregon. His crystal ball almost immediately flips to UCLA. We expect he could start there next season, right? So, yeah, I mean, cornerback. I thought linebacker too.
Mm-hmm.
You get Hayden Moore, but that's where Ernest Hausman, getting him as just a 1-year guy, right? A guy only 1 year out, was huge for them at that position in that room. So those were probably the 3 biggest needs. They did sign 2 running backs as well. I think running back would have been a position I think we looked at as somewhere after only signing 1 last cycle. We'll see what happens with Blake Corum, I guess, if he's truly 50-50 like he told Adam Schefter today. I don't know, but that would change the dynamic there, obviously. But either way, I think those were the positions that jumped out right off the bat.
All right, we got people asking if Cole Cabana is coming on. Cole Cabana is supposed to come on in the last half hour, so we keep you posted on that. But, you know, we like getting scouting reports from coaches. What if the coach and the dad are like to say, right? Well, hey, we got a proud Papa joining us right now, and he clean. He's clean over here. Just first of all, you got to give him a proper introduction, right?
Oh, everyone knows Mr. Morgan Semaj is Morgan's father here. The man is with the plan. He's pressed to impress. He's got everything. But yes, it's the man now.
That's the proper introduction for the father, Semaj Morgan. So first of all, how proud are you? Let's start there. How proud are you?
Very proud. Thanks for having me on the show. I know it's been kind of busy. We're going to get Semaj out here too, the man of the hour. I want to give glory to God, because without God, we wouldn't be in this situation. He showed us the plan, and we just followed the plan. So I'm very happy and excited for this next chapter in Semaj's life. Very proud dad, and we couldn't be more excited as a family.
Yeah, man, and you deserve to be excited. You also deserve a pat on the back. And Semaj offered it this morning. If you missed the interview with Semaj this morning, we're going to be putting that up on the insider.com and on the YouTube page. But he talked about the journey. And so he had to go out and grind for his. He had to go out and earn that offer. And I remember watching him at Ferris State and watching him kill it up there. And then he went to the Wayne State camp. He was going to camp after camp, and he had to go to the Michigan camp. It kept going. It didn't matter. Wherever they wanted to see him, he showed up. Well, someone had to take him, right? And that was you, making sure that he got to all of those camps.
Yes. So what we did, was coming off the COVID year. We basically just trained and grind. I said, when it opened back up, we're going to just take this boy over. That's what we're going to do. We're going to be prepared. As soon as they say, hey, we can get to camp, we're going to get to camp. We worked out with Coach Blackwell, SMSD, and we set his calendar that summer. It was July. I think he did 15 camps in like 21 days. Ended up at the under 50 camp in Atlanta. But we just set our schedule, and I said, look, this might be a little bit too much for you. And he was like, I'm just going to take my workout to each college campus. He said, I work out every day anyway, so I'm just going to take that day as a workout day, and we just going to go to these college campuses, and we just going to show up and show out. So the journey was incredible. I took them. My wife rode with us too. We threw her in the car. My wife don't like to fly, so when I had to fly somewhere, I would meet him there. So the journey was incredible. He worked out. He slept in the car. Then we got the hotel. We ate. Worked on his body. But at the end of the day, he followed the journey, and that's why we're here today.
So, look, I don't want you to be bashful. I don't want you to be, be conservative in your description. I know you his dad, but you're also a coach. You know him better than anyone. A lot of fans haven't seen Semaj do his thing. What can they expect from your son? What should they expect to see when he takes a football field?
Well, we talked the other day. He was like, Dad, I got like 2 days. He was like, these 10 toes hit the turf. I ain't taking no prisoners. Like, I'm just going after everybody. He was like, look, I'm there to win the spot. He was like, so I'm going to go work hard, but I'm definitely going to be respectful and love my teammates. He was like, but at the end of the day, I got to go play because I love to play. So what they're getting a playmaker. He's super competitive. He's going to make play after play after play. He's very smart. He's going to be in the classroom studying. He's going to be in his playbook. We're going to be in the wide receiver meetings, and he knows football, so he's going to be like a coach on the field. He's going to know coverages. He's going to know everything. So they're getting a really, truly wonderful football player. They're going to love him at Michigan. The fans is going to love him because he's going to bring that hunger, that desire, and that passion in the big house. So let's go.
All right. Well, hey, man, I don't know, Steve, Brice, if you have anything for Mr. Morgan before we let him go. You guys got anything?
All good. No, another great stuff.
Thank y'all for having me. Sam, hey, we pulled it off, baby.
We did.
We pulled it off.
We did.
I love the show. Thanks for having me. Anything I can do from here on out, just let me know. Coaching with SMSB started back in January, so I got access to all the killers. So shoot me a text. We got y'all. We got interviews. We're going to show y'all where the workouts at. Send pictures, videos, whatever you need to make your job easier. I'm the man. So thank you, Sam. And definitely thanks to Brice. This is my guy right here, man. You got a heck of an employee, man. You need a raise. See that plug, baby? See that plug, baby? Hey, what a great guy, man. I love Brice, man. We got a good employee, man. He loves what he does, and we talk quite often. And thanks for letting me have access to him. I would say that.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you, man. And hey, you know I'm gonna be texting.
You heard him.
I'm gonna be texting you. You know you the plug.
Hey, I'm the plug, baby.
All right, Mr. Morgan.
Yep. And I ain't gonna fumble that bag either, baby. We're gonna keep that boy full. Every Friday, we filling that boy up. Oh yeah, by the way, my first tailgate at the big house, it's gonna be epic. I'll send y'all an invite.
Okay. Looking forward to it. All right.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna go get Semaj so he can talk to y'all, okay?
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
As you folks can tell, and I'm sure you can tell here, Steve, the apple doesn't fall very far from the tree in this regard, right?
No, it was great. And I thought I saw Brice recording the part, just a small snippet of that conversation there for future. Yeah. No, how many, great. I know the family very. Was Morgan's house was where Harbaugh did the dishes, correct?
Right.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely just a great family addition. Semaj, the first commit in the class. Yeah, no, that's good stuff.
Yeah, man, that was fantastic. And yeah, Brice, you got a lot of fans here, man. And they say, especially after you got that crystal ball, right? People were taking shots at you for the crystal ball.
I'm trying to figure out who took these shots. Oh shoot!
Yeah, man, they disappeared, Brice. They all of a sudden they're hiding. They don't want to answer. They don't want to pay the piper.
All right, it's all right. I felt like the Matrix. Dodge.
Yeah. Are we getting? Are you going to get Semaj? Is he next?
I get him. 1 second.
All right. We will add him to the fold. Steve, as we look at this, the immediate impact guys on this class, they are always, I think, a sample space of those guys always comes from the early enrollees. So do you have a list? This is another question. You have a list of the guys who are going to be enrolling early in this class?
Yeah, we do. I was actually pulling it up right now. I got to put those in the profile. So Cabana, both running backs, Cabana and Hall, Fred Moore and Morgan, Semaj, Zach Marshall, Amir, Kumba, and Calhoun. Cole Cabana maybe, depending. And I mentioned him earlier as a potential sort of gadget's kind of not the best word to use, but as a package guy maybe in certain situations because of his ability to both run and catch the football. But otherwise, I mean, this is where having depth kind of pays off, right?
Hello. Hey, that buff life, man. Hey, so he's already ready with the turnover buffs. Except he's not gonna be turning it over. He's gonna be catching
I
touchdowns.
ain't turning nothing over.
Talking about Semaj Morgan, as I said, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So let's just jump right in, Maj. Just tell the, because we got a different crew of fans that want to know what you bring to the table, and now you got a partner in crime in the class. Now Carmelo English
I
is
love English. Yeah, tell him.
yeah. So what do you bring to the table, and what will you and Carmelo bring together to the table?
And I bring some heart and I bring grit, man. I ain't selling for nothing less than a dub. Y'all gonna see a dub. Y'all gonna see a dog on the field with some passion and with some grit to him. That's all I gotta say.
What do you think? Have you watched Carmelo's film? What do you think of Carmelo when you see him on tape?
Well, I ain't never really watched him, but I heard about him. Man, I heard he a great player. I think I played against him a few times. Probably at some 7-on-7 tournaments. So I'm definitely excited to get to work with him, man. We got some dogs. Me, Fred, and Carmelo, man. It's time to work out.
Yeah, and then the other thing, man, is since we talked this morning, Jyaire Hill joined the boat. I know you were just down at the Star in Dallas, the U.S. Army game. Did you get a chance to watch him any kind of peep his game? What you think of Jyaire?
No, man, I got there on the last day, man. So I ain't really get to make no connections like that. I just played in the game and came back to the crib. But I'm glad that he committed because I heard about him too, man. He's gonna go when we come with these.
Brice, I don't know if you have anything. What about the West Bloomfield connection? It continues to feature on that program. I think it's great preparation because the expectation is the same expectation to be the best. Is the same. So you use the competition always in practice because you always practice playing against dogs every day. That's the same thing that you have in the mission.
Man, just like that was going through. I'm just thankful that I got to come to high school at the beginning of my high school career with some great guys like Coach Bill. I got to play with Kankakee and people like Donovan McCarty. You know what I'm saying? But I'm glad I could get to go up to the next level. Like this was like it's really gonna start counting. Like it turned into a job. It's been a job since I was a kid, but now it's really crazy. And I know Coach Bill, he gonna make me work. And I know like we gonna push each other. Cause he know me, I know him. He know I got a fire in him. He know how to light it up. He know how to turn it down. Cause it ain't never gonna go out. And I'm just glad to get to work with him.
Brice, you got anything for Semaj?
Which fans expect once we get to this year? What do you add to this offense?
Man, I'm just a real all-around player. Like wherever they need me, I'm there. I'm gonna do it 120%. And they just gonna expect a dog. Just like I said earlier, DLG. Okay.
All right. Steve, anything for Semaj before we let him get back to his party?
How big of a relief is it for you for this to be done?
Man, this little process, man, it was so long, man. It started a little short time ago, but man, it just feel like it was so long. But I'm still thankful for the process. God put me in a great position, you know what I'm saying, to get 22 scholarship offers to play football. But, I'm just kind of glad it's over. I made my decision a year ago, and I stuck with it, and I feel good about it. So it's time to get to work. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gonna see me playing, going crazy.
All right, well, Semaj, congratulations on officially becoming a Wolverine. Man, get over there and enjoy your party.
Thank you.
All right. So, I said earlier, and you can kind of see it there. So, we had Darius Clemens on last year, right? And so you guys have a feel for Darius's personality. You haven't really, I don't know that you've really gotten a chance to kind of hear from Amarian, but let me tell you, Amarian, personality-wise, is the opposite of that. Right? He's diametrically opposed personality-wise to what you just saw. Now, he's a dog on the field. Don't get it twisted. He can, coming from Ponchatoula, Louisiana, he can go. But 6'4", a little bit more mellow in his approach. Darius Clemens also 6'4", a little bit bigger, a little more out there than Amarian, but still a little reserved in his approach. Then you compliment them, Steve, with these two guys who just dog personified. That's what you get from Semaj Morgan and Carmelo English. If you were putting together a puzzle, last year's receiver class and this year's receiver class would fit together like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah, and that's why they went that route, right? Like that's why I said they kept recruiting Carmelo English even after his commitment to Auburn. I mean, Michigan definitely had a plan at receiver this cycle and accomplished it, right? I mean, Semaj was the first commitment, and like as he said, it's been over a year. It was December 1st of last year that he committed. And then Fred Moore's kind of the in-between guy as far as in between a guy like Amarion and a guy like Semaj, like size-wise and just style. But yeah, I know the other thing too, I don't think there's I talked about this with Brian and Seth on the MGO blog podcast earlier, because their question with English in particular was, can he play on the outside? I think Michigan's not going to recruit a guy that isn't capable of playing on the outside. And I think the one of the interesting things with both Morgan and English being sub 6 feet guys is both of them can get up in a big way for their size, right? They're guys that make a lot of contested catches on their film and aren't afraid to go up and get in the mix and make the catch. So, I think Michigan definitely, really kind of completing a 2-year puzzle, as you would like, kind of how you put it, Sam, as far as really now you talk about a really diversified potential passing attack with the style and size of receivers that they have, in the fold now.
Yeah, we're still efforting Cole. Cole was scheduled for 6:30. So in the event that we don't get Cole Cabana on today, we'll get him tomorrow. So Carmelo English is coming on tomorrow, for instance. We'll probably get Nate Afobe tomorrow. Oh, and an announcement. So I tell you how much of a grinder we have in the coaching contingent on our team. So Vance Bedford has watched every defensive player in the class. Al Borges has watched every offensive player in the class. We're going to do a live breakdown session with both of them tomorrow, breaking down the recruiting class, 2 former coordinators, going through Michigan's guys, and not the portal guys yet, because Steve, Brice, and I have to do a portal special too. And so we'll give those guys an opportunity to watch all of them on film. But man, yeah, you're gonna get some Vance and some Al giving you the coaching breakdown, and we're gonna get the rest of the class on as well. So we got message out to, I think I said Nate Afobe already. Carmelo's coming on tomorrow. Got a message out to Cam Calhoun. Hayden Moore had a conflict. He couldn't come on today, so we'll get him as well. We'll be getting more of them on, but you can keep track of all of it over on the MichiganInsider.com. Hey, I guess as we close things out, assuming we don't get any other guests on, and we will squeeze them in if they come on before we get out, I wonder if there are any more overriding themes in this class. We already talked about the Ohio recruits, Steve. The state of Illinois, I think, bears watching when it comes to Michigan's presence there, because all the groundwork that they've laid to this point sets up for what I think is going to be a banner year in that state. We talked about it in the last podcast, but the top of Illinois are going to have, I think they're going to have 3 top 50, definitely 3 top 100 players. When you talk about Justin Scott, Marquise Lightfoot, and Amarion Stewart. You got 3 top 50 guys, top 100 for sure, but maybe even top 50 guys before all is said and done.
One more guess.
All right, well, we got to get Mom on, right? We got to get Mom on, because Mom was on all those car rides too, making sure you got to all the camps too, right?
That's right. Most definitely.
So how proud are you? Well, first of all, Brice, come on, man. You're supposed to be doing the introductions here.
I know, my bad. This is Mrs. Morgan. She's the queen bee. She's the nest holder. She's the person who makes the car drive forward. She's the wheels. She's everything, okay? You gotta have her.
I think she's the hype person. She's the hype woman, because if you want to know what's going on with Semaj, all you gotta do is follow Mom, and you'll find out, right?
That's right. Come to my Twitter. I'm gonna post about my baby. That's the only reason I got Twitter, is because it was for him. That's it. Yes.
So tell me the journey. Tell me about the journey from your perspective. I mean, it was a long road. He had to grind. To get his, but it finally came and he earned it.
Yes, that's most definitely. It has been a journey, and I will say from his beginning of his journey, it didn't look really bright for him. See, I was the one that when I would go home, I would see him in his room with his head. See, that's stuff that people don't see sometimes. They see this little boy come out, he's cocky, he's like, I'm ready, his confidence is there. But I was the one that would knock on this room door and say, hey, are you okay? What do you need, son? Where's your confidence level? You okay? And he would be like, well, Mom, I'm good. And I would tell him, it's coming. It's coming. And then last year, it came. And it came when he was going through his journey of going to multiple camps. He said, Mom, Dad, I want to be able to go to every camp. I want to prove myself. And because of his stature, I told him, it's not how short you are. I said, it's how big you play. And he began to start playing big. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Come on now. I know that's right, Brice. So it's like I told him it's how big he played, and it's something that I think that he took to heart, and he started playing really big. And we always knew he could do it. He had the confidence, but his journey has been a bit different than other people. But here's the thing: nonetheless, it was a journey, and we are here, and I'm so proud of him. Oh my gosh, I'm so godly proud of my son for the accomplishment of going to the University of Michigan.
Well, hey, look, you guys deserve a lot of credit too. He was definitely quick to pay homage because he could have done it without you. I mean, 15 camps in 21 days. Ooh, that's some commitment right there. And it's not like they're all free either.
No, and lodging is not free. Gas is not free. That's when gas was high. It took some money out of our pocket. I'm being honest, I don't even know how we done it, but it was done. You know, so it was a great experience for him. So he's so happy to be here.
So you look at that coaching staff. Obviously, you know Coach Bell. You'll obviously be coached by Coach Bell.
Yes.
But it seems like there's a comfort level with the entire staff, and then there's a comfort level with the roster because it's like another West Bloomfield in Ann Arbor right now.
Yes. What best fit with him, Donovan, Makari Page, and Coach Bell, and now Amir and him are joining. It's like a brotherhood. And I want him to understand that you're going to the next level, but you're building together a brotherhood, a team. So he's learning that, and he's growing really fast. But the coaching staff is phenomenal. I'm going to tell you, they're second to none. In the nation, we went to many coaching staffs and coached in schools and visited many coaches. This coaching staff with Coach Harbaugh, with Sharon, with at one point it was Gaddis and Ron, they have been top tier since we've been a part of this journey and this process. And I just thank them for that. And it's from their heart. So it means a lot.
So my last one for you, 30. I'm curious what it's going to be like for you when you watch your baby run out of that tunnel wearing the helmet. And then what can fans tell the fans what they can expect to see when they see your baby out on the court?
Oh my gosh, I almost lost it today doing a speech today crying. Okay. I think I'm going to cry when I first see him run out and hit that banner. But I'm going to tell you what you can expect. You can expect a young man that's going to work. You can expect a young man that's going to get out there and be a game changer. You can expect a young man that's going to run elite routes, and he's going to be able to catch that ball. He's going to be able to get to that ball, and he's going to be supportive. And here's another thing you can expect. But if he's out there and he's not catching that ball, he's going to block for his other receivers to do it, because that's key too. He's going to block. That's big, because I tell him, and he told me, Mom, when I'm out there, it ain't all about me catching the ball. It's about blocking for the others out there. So you're going to see him come out there and be a team player instantly, and you're going to see him work.
That's good
now,
stuff.
Now you get it. Now people understand.
Yes.
You understand why he's been able to do what he's been able to do. It's right. The support system that he has around him, which is tremendous. So congratulations to the entire Morgan family. So happy for you guys.
One more thing we gotta ask. We gotta ask about the in-home.
Yeah, you get to that, and you can do that next. But I gotta ask about this tailgate, because your husband said it's about this epic tailgate that y'all about to have. So we just want to make sure we all get invites.
Yes, most definitely. My husband loves to cook. He loves to barbecue. He loves to bring people together, and we love to serve. Me and my husband love to serve. We're like, what do you want? What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? He is excited for the very first tailgate. And I'm telling you, he's going to pump it up like it's a party. I'm like, honey, we got to go to the game. But yes, we're ready for that too.
All right, Brice, go ahead, man.
I just want to ask, obviously, you went viral. You had a tweet go out there, Coach Harbaugh, cleaning the dishes. Take me through that interaction. How did he get to cleaning dishes? How did that come about?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, he was actually in there eating his breakfast because we had cooked him breakfast like brunch, and he had, I think, sausage casserole, and we had fixed him some shrimp and grits. He had shrimp and grits. We had some good food. He had some, his cranberry juice. We was feeding him good water. When he was done, he walks in the kitchen while everyone was in there still talking at the table. He said, "What can I do? I want to wash dishes." I said, "Coach, no, you can't wash dishes." So one of my friends that was there, she says, "Let him wash dishes." So I did. I said, "Well, come on, Coach. Let's put you over here, and I want to see if you can wash them dishes." He said, "Okay." And he took that plate and began to wash it. I was really pleasantly surprised. I said, "Oh my gosh, that is such humility for a head coach." He's like one of the number one coaches in the nation, maybe even in the world. And he's standing in my kitchen washing dishes. How humble is that? How polite is that? And how gracious is that? So after that, I gave him the biggest hug. I said, "Hey, we got to get a picture of this. Are you okay with me posing?" He said, "Oh, hey, do what you like, Miss Morgan." And that was so beautiful. And I did not know it was going to go viral, though. And when it went viral, I said, "Really? People really care about this man washing dishes?" I didn't know.
All right, listen, we have taken you. Steve, you got anything for Mrs. Morgan?
No, I was going to ask about the dishes too, and nothing of what she said surprised me. The fact that he offered is not surprising to me whatsoever. That's exactly what I was wondering about. So that's him in a nutshell. That's how he's always been. So,
he's
humility
genuine.
For sure.
Yeah, very genuine. I think he get a bad rap. People think, "Oh, we don't know anything about him, and he doesn't talk as much, and he puts the boys in front of the camera." But the reason he does that is because he knows that these boys work hard. He want to showcase them. You'll see him put Donovan, you'll see him put JJ and say, "Talk to him," because he wants the boys to get the love and the respect that's due to them for working so hard. That's what I love him.
Well, listen, we appreciate you taking time away from the celebration to spend with us. We're going to let you get back to it, but we'll see you at that tailgate.
Yes, I'll see you. Thank you, Sam. You guys have a great one.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Folks, listen, that is about time. We only have a few minutes left in the broadcast, so obviously it looks like we are not going to get to Cole Cabana today. But don't worry. I mean, that's what other days are for, right? Tomorrow we got the live with Al Borges breaking down the offensive class, the live with Vance Bedford breaking down the defensive class. We're going to get Carmelo English on. We're going to get Nate Afobe on. We'll set something up with Cole, a makeup date. We'll put all of this on the website as well. We're going to have write-ups on the site. We had a great interview this morning with Alan True, getting that together for you on the site right now in case you missed it. Great stuff from Steve Wilfong in case you missed it. We had Cole Cabana's trainer on, who told the story about how he said, "Man, I had to convince Mike Hart that Cole Cabana is a guy." He said it took some effort, took some time. He said, "Man, I got to tell Mike, this is the dude. Finally convinced Mike Hart that Cole Cabana was a guy. And when he realized it was still before everyone else did, Mike realized he had a banger right here, from the big house. And I think that dude is going to be one of those guys that is one of the stars in this class. And let's get to your parting shot, Steve, Lorenz. Just your thoughts on the day, your thoughts on this class, anything you want to say on the way out.
First thing I'd say, don't post what you just said about the Cole Cabana thing on the board.
I was in an interview.
About having to convince. Oh, no.
Hey, Reggie
probably want to leave that.
Reggie Wynn said it in an interview. Man.
Okay, all right.
Nothing we can do about it.
We'll sweep that under the rug. Overall, I mean, probably one of the least stressful signing days for the staff. I guess for us, we're pumping out stuff either way, so not that much different necessarily. But got to think mission accomplished for Michigan. They got the guys that they were hoping to get today. Now they move on to February. And like I said, I think those 4 Ohio guys are going to be really key for Michigan down the road as far as how we look at this class. I think the other one, too, are the 2 guys they signed at tight end. Tony Ellie, not a guy that's talked about a lot necessarily. Another small-town guy, not maybe heavily scouted necessarily. Kind of his rankings stayed the same throughout. And then Zach Marshall, I think, is another guy. And he's one I think a lot of people who cover may pick as a sleeper as well as an 87. I think I mentioned, like I said, when I talked to Brian and Seth earlier, I think the thing with his recruitment, a lot like Sean McCune, where I think Michigan kind of found him, wanted him, but didn't want to blow his recruitment up necessarily. So they waited for him to come to campus. They offered him. He committed shortly thereafter. And I know Michigan super excited about what they have there. So those are kind of the two biggest takeaways for me as far as the guys that they signed today.
Yeah. Brice Marich, you got any parting shots for the people?
I would just say this was probably a best case scenario type of day for Michigan. In terms of best to worst case scenario, I think when looking at best case was, number one, got to keep in the class, sign him, because he had several schools still pushing at the very end to flip him. Number two, get a top guy like Carmelo English to sign with you. Because even though Michigan was looking good, there's other SEC schools still making a push. And third but not least, you had to finish the deal with Jyaire Hill. Mission accomplished. I think overall today, like Steve said, drama-free day. They got the signatures in. You got the guys you wanted. At this point, let's see how they perform in a couple years here. So
let me take a minute. Shout you out, Brice. Shout you out, Steve. I think we got the best crew in the land. We got some young additions that's going to help. We're going to be even more places, bring you even more fire over on the site. So if you aren't already on board, 50% off an annual deal right now. 50% off an annual deal. This is like the signing day special. So if you don't have your subscription to TMI, don't wait, because you'll miss out. And it's a key time with big time recruitments on the horizon. Obviously, the playoff coverage, the All-Star game coverage. Then you got the January period where guys are going to be out and about, coaches are going to be out and about. Jaden Davis probably going to be making a decision that month, and of course Nick Harbor. So much to be on the edge of your seat for, and we'll keep you up to speed. So if a top target takes Michigan out the top 5 and everyone's saying Michigan's out of it, come check us out and we'll tell you what's really going on. Right, Brice? Hey man, Brice, you need to learn to dunk on some people. I know we don't dunk on people literally. We gotta dunk on people figuratively, Brice. Come on, man. Take that victory lap, man. I mean, they were trying to call you out.
I'm still trying to see who these people are. I'm still trying to figure it out, Sam. I show the receipts.
Yeah, well, you did a great job all recruiting cycle. Steve Lorenz, no one grinds harder at all hours of the day than our guy Steve. Just a big time piece and part of what we do. Essential.
He's all right. He's all right golfer too. He's all right golfer too.
The only thing that he hasn't done yet is take me on a craft beer tour, because Steve, I'm learning this craft beer thing. I like the hop slam.
Very happy. I was very happy that was one of your top choices for sure. That's a budding connoisseur right there, because I saw the options you had, and I kind of wait. I'll see which ones that Sam likes. Hop slam's a go-to. Got a little concerned. A lot of them were pretty heavy. I remember which place you went. A lot of those, I almost texted you on the side to say, hey, Sam, these are going to hit you. They're going to hit you pretty hard. Sometimes the craft beer hits a little bit different than other things do. So yeah, it does. And but hop slam being the top dog, I think is, I was impressed. I was satisfied with that. I thought you did a good job. So and Lions have not lost. That's the best. That's the biggest thing of all of it. It's like I woke up Sunday. I was like, I'm excited to watch the Lions today. I was like, what the hell is going on? Like I'm centering my day around 1:00. Like this is what year? Where am I? So
right, man. Michigan is a legit national championship contender, and the Lions are a legit playoff contender. I mean, damn. Like, I'm on cloud nine. Can't believe it.
Oh, man.
Anyway, folks, listen. We need a break. We need to breathe and relax. There's still some content coming. A lot of signing day content still to come. We got more to come tomorrow, but understand we're going to be taking a breather over the next week or so. We might not be as present, might not see as much content over the next week. Please allow us this time. I don't want to be divorced. I love my wife. You know, I haven't seen her in quite some time. So allow us this moment, this respite before we hit the grind again with the playoffs and all-star games. All right. So great job, fellas. We love you people. We love you, the TMI fam. If you aren't part of the fam, get on board right now for 50% off. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you over on the boards over on the MichiganInsider.com.